I spent all of last week doing game design shenanigans relating to how my game is played across multiple devices. It has to be fun.
It's fun.
So at the moment I'm putting gameplay above graphics, art, story, and everything else. But do you know? Something so quintessentially game development that everyone already knows it exists. Level systems.
Level up.
But wait a minute. If that's the case, why isn't it already in my game? I'd like to spend this week getting the level and EXP system in place so that the player can start grinding like they were always intended to. Let's level up my game with a progression and EXP system. Okay, so the plan for this week is this. This intro bit is actually being recorded after the fact. I know, right? As I'm really focusing on the game design problems, I'm sort of in a state where if there is an unknown or an obvious issue, then I will just say I have to work on that, and that is the case. So I just decided I would leave recording the intro till later, but halfway through I ended up having a haircut, which completely broke the continuity of what I'd recorded before. I think it makes sense to enter just a lot of these in, so let's do that. A few of them got left behind, the main one being this fixed issue with the disabled buttons. You might remember that from a little while ago. I'll do it later. So lifecycle issues, I'm not particularly looking forward to doing this. There's a lot of spaghetti in this code base at the moment. And this helper hints one, this is to fix an issue I have with mobile where the interface is kind of wrong. Anyway, so let's take you back to the time before the Great Haircut Massacre. Afternoon? Right, update for end of day. I've been working on trying to get the XP system in the game to work. So the way I envisage it is that you're going to be having collectible items that you sort of gather up, and then gradually you can use those to level up your character. So this is what it looks like at the moment. I've hacked in that if you press the right mouse button then you get a few of the XP orbs trigger around the player. Okay, so a few things to note. They do have an animation like that, so that's kind of interesting. And they're triggered proximity wise essentially, so the closer the player gets to them, they start picking them up. So if I was to go over here and start cannibalizing and brutalizing these monsters, hey look, they just dropped some XP orbs. That's kind of interesting. So it's meant to be that you can walk into an area that has lots of enemies, do loads of attacks, and then go and collect all the orbs. So that could be quite fun, I think. Well, you know, it's tried and true, isn't it? Collect orbs. Orbs give you stuff. So I think the next thing is I'm going to want to have an indicator up here to show you how many orbs you've actually got. And I would also like to animate them a bit more, so they essentially just appear. So that's kind of boring. So I'm going to move the coin counter up here as well. So I'm going to have coins and EXP orbs. So they'll be the two sort of currencies of this game, I guess. I want the orbs to do the exact same animation that the coins do. And because I know you love to see it, this is what it looks like on mobile. So it is a little bit smaller. Essentially, I don't want it to be difficult to make out what's actually going on. You can't collect them while you're dead, which is unfortunate. One thing I'm a bit concerned about is performance, just because they're cubes and there might be a lot of them. That in combination with my particle system, it could get a bit spicy quite quickly. We shall have to see, because I really don't know. I also don't want this game to be too bad on battery life. Anyway, I'm not actually going to be here tomorrow, so in the meantime, bye. Hey. So let me show you a few things I've done. So the money counter is now back up here in the corner. Obviously I'll improve the user interface later. So I've now got a counter for XP orbs as well. So if I go over here and kill some goblins, you see they drop the things. Now if you look closely, you can now see that there's an animation when they head off towards the player thing. So I do actually really like the look of that. That is obviously copied off the coin effect, but it really adds the feel of what you're actually doing. So I think this whole thing about walking around collecting stuff, like, it's kind of fun. One of the expressed goals of this game was for everything to be quick, flashy, and lots. So lots means lots of variety. Quick obviously means quick gameplay sessions, and flashy is things like this. So I'm quite pleased with it because I can see it taking shape. I always said that I wanted the game to look a bit like a slot machine, and it kind of is doing that with the coins flying around and everything like that. So as a result of my incredible efforts, this task is now complete, and this task is... So he's gone. What's the next thing? I would probably say the life cycle issues, because there's just loads of broken things at the moment. Like for instance when the player dies, like what is going on down there? I don't think it should look like that. Why can't I click on any of the buttons? That doesn't make any sense. So, stuff to do. Hey. So here's a quick overview of the things I've done in the past few days. So it's been a lot of behind the scenes work to get the code base stable. So it's things like being able to restart the exploration. Now that was quite a big job because there's quite a bit of general spaghetti code. Of course, when I came to redesign the gameplay, I just sort of jammed everything in there. And I'm fine with that because I think that's a sensible pattern of development. I will obviously fix it later once I know what the game actually is. But in order to get the scene to restart, it was just like, yeah, had to do lots of stuff. Let's just have a look at that. I've bodged it in so that if you press the right mouse button, you'll get the exploration complete. So if I can do explore again, look at that. That's another exploration. Although I think, yeah, this morning I noticed an issue where it seems like physics shapes don't work as I expect them to. Although it seems like it does generate them, so that's weird. I'll have to have a look at that. Yeah, okay, so that's broken. But still, the process does work fairly well. I can just generate new worlds and keep doing that. Well, mostly I can keep doing that. I wouldn't say that's a race condition. I don't really know what sort of condition it is. Let's have a look at the backtrace. Cube player flag for window touch. Anyway, so I mean it works better than it did before. It just didn't work at all, regardless, any time before. The other thing is that the pause state now works. So let's find some enemies, and then the exploration. So there's a few things that are going on. So I'm using the engine has a built-in sort of state mechanism, which you can use to pause things. And there's a number of systems in the engine that can be paused. So it's things like pausing the update function from being called in scripts, pausing animations, pausing physics worlds. So things like this animation, I don't actually have to do anything to stop it because I just say to the engine, oh, pause everything. So that's useful for these scenes. So that means that, you know, entities won't chase the player or anything like that. So that'll be good for an actual pause screen, but I don't have that at the moment yet. So really this is just me trying to cover my bases and make sure things don't suck. But you can see, you know, you used to be able to place flags. You can't do that anymore. So return to menu does actually work as well. So final thing, let's just walk over to this gateway over here. Hey, look at that. That's a button that appears on the gateway rather than up in the corner there. Well, I do think I have this at the top, which does need to be gotten rid of. But yeah, you can see that you've got this end exploration button now, so that's like a more formal way to end the exploration. So that was this task here. So I do have a bit more of like a system in place, but it's based off the billboard system, so it was actually way easier to get working than I thought it would. The reason it's still in the list though is because there are issues with it. So the main one being that, say you're moving around here and you get a bit aggressive with the mouse clicks. You see what I did there? I moved the mouse over the button and it got pressed, but the button was already down somewhere else. That's an issue because I think that's more in the GUI library than in my code. And I'm not quite convinced that there is an easy solution to that. So there's a few things, but it's coming along. Hello. Okay, right. Absolutely very end of week. So one of the more interesting ones is that when you actually end the exploration, I've now got the exploration screen is animated. Ooh. So the bit that's animated is the text appearing as well as the EXP orbs sort of flying into the bar. So this is meant to be the current player XP bar. So I've built the basis of the level system. So currently it's based on this EXP table. I didn't quite know how to do that sort of thing myself, so I just took the EXP leveling system from RuneScape. I mean, it's always going to be good, but unfortunately the system is not really complete for the end of this week. While this is partly done, there's still quite a bit of work that needs doing on it. So one of the problems I do have with it is this. Oh no, look at that. Yeah, so it's clearly broken in some ways. I ended up spending quite a bit of time this week trying to fix this physics system issue. I actually found quite a few other problems with my physics system as a result of some of the investigation I did. So yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to fix that. Unfortunately, I don't really have any footage to show you, and it's a bit late for this week, so I'll maybe try and do that next week. Personally, I do think the game is progressing nicely. I'm quite pleased with how it's looking. It's just, it needs more work, doesn't it? You can only do so much in a single week. And with that, cheers. I don't actually have a proper outro plan, so I guess I'll just whack my head in the desk like last time.